Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We're thrilled to death that you're listening to our show.
Yes, we are.
We're going to bring a little bit of happiness and joy, guitar joy to our lives today, especially. So, we have in studio a guest, a local. Yes, recently discovered on accident.
Fancy.
Yes, we can explain that too. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Donovan Johnson. I am the lead investigator for Cryptid Audio Investigations.
That sounds very impressive and important.
Do you have a badge?
I could, no.
You should get one.
I probably should. You're right.
We are thrilled to have you in the studio with us.
Yeah.
We have a big box full of pedals.
my.
You let us play a whole bunch of them. We had a great time with them, and we're going to talk about them. And we're happy to celebrate a local builder. We don't know everybody that exists out there. I know
Even in
that's
our
a big
own
shock.
town.
Even in our own town. I think we're getting more and more familiar as that, maybe once we hit 1,000 episodes, we'll have found everybody. But we're really close to 400. I'm very excited. So, without further ado, Tony,
Yes.
maybe we got some new listeners that maybe don't exactly know what we're doing on the show. What do we do?
Well, we sure as heck don't know what we're doing. So,
Okay.
but we like to talk about gear. Specifically, we like to talk about boutique gear. Even more specifically, we like to talk to the makers of this boutique gear, and that's some of what we do. We also talk to movers and shakers in the industry. We
Yes.
talk to authors. We talk to
Wonderhead super brains like Rob's last episode. Man, that was great.
whoa.
Learned so much about amp conditioning and power and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I only fell asleep once.
It's a lot to live up to.
It is, yes. Well,
Yeah, good
you're in
luck.
the hot seat now.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Well, we hope you enjoy the show. If this is your first time, welcome. If this is your 153rd time, well, welcome back.
If it's your almost 400th time,
Yeah.
thank you.
We
thank
have
you,
a few
thank
that
you.
have been with us that long, supporting us. It's a thrill. All right, well, let's get into what's... Oh, wait.
No, we have some announcements.
Yeah, we got some... Well, that's what I was going to do. But before we even get there,
Yes.
Donovan, will you tell people where they can find your stuff?
Yeah. Probably the easiest place is Reverb. I've got a Reverb shop on Instagram, Facebook. I think I have an eBay page. People still have those, I think. But if you also just type in cryptidaudioinvestigations.com, that'll take you to the Reverb page.
Cryptid.
Cryptid.
Cryptid. All right.
Absolutely.
And if you're like, man, I don't know what it's called, where you gotta find it, just hit us up. We'll tell you.
Yes.
Okay, we do have a few announcements.
Yes, Todd, because this is very exciting. Oh my gosh, is it exciting? I am over the moon
Yes.
over this one because this is my first pedal named
You have a
for
signature
me.
pedal.
A signature pedal.
Yeah.
And it's called the Tony Baloney pedal.
Yeah.
And it is, based, it's a overdrive booster.
It's based on the Sparkle Drive.
It's based on my favorite, one of my favorite
with
pedals,
some
the
extra
Sparkle
stuff.
Drive.
Yeah.
It does some things a little bit different, but it is a cool pedal.
Yeah,
And it comes in baloney pink.
it does.
It's beautiful.
It looks like an actual bologna package.
I mean, if I had a meat slicer, I might even try to make a sandwich out of
You
it.
probably could.
Okay.
Tell us more about it.
Well, this is a very special pedal because there are only 20 of these available. Our good friend Sam Jett is putting these together, and they're $175 each shipped, and the money goes to charity, and the charity involved is Hungry for Music. The even better thing about these 20 pedals is I am going to sign them, which makes them priceless. In another 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 100 years, they're going to be collector's items. They're already collector's items. It's great stuff. Sam, thank you for doing this. I was just thrilled that when I first saw mine. I plugged it in and tried it. I love it. This is, if you want to help support a really worthy group, Hungry for Music, go to at Tony Baloney Pedal on Instagram, and you will find all the information you need to order one of these pedals.
Yep.
And if you can't do the Instagram thing, excuse me, shoot Todd one of them messages and emails, all those things, and he'll give you all the link information and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But this is really cool. It goes.
They're signed.
Well, of course they're signed. They will be signed.
We found a guy named Tony, and he signed them all.
Oh, lucky that one.
Yeah, a guy out on the street there. He just said, okay, I'll sign them for you. But anyhow, check it out at Tony Baloney Pedal on Instagram.
There you go.
Everything you need to know is there.
Just drop a DM, a message, and say, I want one. And, and then we'll get all the information rolling.
We'll get it all
together. And you might be like, why the heck are you guys doing this on Instagram? Well, Sam Jett is he's not a retail guy. He doesn't have a shop. He just put this stuff together. So
he's an
that's the way we gotta do
aficionado.
it. Yeah.
So go ahead, check it out, and buy one, buy two, buy one for the holidays are coming.
Yes.
Everybody loves
buy
it.
them all and then resell them. We don't care.
If somebody buys all 20 of them, I will also include an 8x10 autograph photo of myself.
I like that. Okay, we also we have more giveaways. We were just giving away a Chase Gullett t-shirt, a Gullett Guitars t-shirt, I should say.
Nice.
He got some new ones. And then we've got these Van Halen books that are signed by Chris Gill. That's coming up. We've got some pedals we're going to give away. We also the boost pedal, the Guitar Knobs boost pedal.
Wow.
DM us on Instagram. The Made by Sketchy Sounds. Those are $75
Nice.
shipped. Okay.
What colors are available?
I think any color that he makes, and you get the Guitar Knobs logo on it. It's great. Just check us out. Check it out on Instagram. There's some great stuff about that.
Yes.
You can also visit Sketchy Pedals and say, hey, Sketchy Pedals, how do I get one of them there things? And all of the proceeds go to him.
Isn't that also known as the Mike Love pedal?
No.
Oh, it is not.
Isn't. Now you're confusing people. So.
I thought that was the one because it was one big knob.
Stop. Anyways, let's talk about what's going on in our music world this week. And Tony, go ahead and kick us off, and then we're going to hear from Donovan.
This week. So this is something I'm not usually a fan of big hall concerts.
Big hall concerts?
Hall. Large venues.
Large venues.
Yes.
Because a hall is usually narrow.
Yeah, I guess so. But some people
Just
call
big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like stadium kind
Large
of things.
venues.
Large venues. I'm not usually a big fan. And I'm not a huge Cyndi Lauper fan.
Uh-huh.
But my
Well,
wife...
technically you kind of are. Anyway. Okay. Go ahead.
You're so nice,
I know.
Todd. Anyhow, so we went this past, I guess it was Sunday, and we went to see Cyndi Lauper down at the Schottenstein, whatever.
Big arena.
Big arena.
Yeah.
And we were up in the nosebleeds because I waited until the last minute to get tickets, but that's okay. Although I was getting a little dizzy up there.
Really?
Yeah.
The air's thin up there.
Well, it's not the air, it's the steepness of the angle. I don't think I would do well at the Sphere in Las Vegas. Because when you go up there really high, apparently it gets really disorienting.
Yeah.
And I was feeling a little disoriented, but not enough to fall over and tumble into the people in front of me.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yes. But anyhow, not a huge Cyndi Lauper fan, but I have to say she put on a tremendous show. I mean, this is supposedly her farewell tour. She's going to move on and do more Broadway type things and what have you. But
she's what, like 65, something like that?
She's 71 years old.
What?
And she was just a powerhouse all night.
How good was True Colors?
It was very good. It wasn't my.
That is a gorgeous song.
Yeah, that's a nice song. But, she did all the hits and everything, of course, and some cuts from, I didn't realize she had that many albums over the course of her career. But the one thing
Some fan, huh?
I said, but what really was kind of fun because, I'm the kind of person that when I go to a show, I have to say, oh, that guitar player's playing this. And
Yep.
Well, her bass player, who's been with her since really the beginning, his name is William Whitman.
Right.
He was playing an orange Reverend Mike Watt bass.
Really?
All night long. And it sounded great. I texted Kenny over at Reverend. I said, hey, I saw you went to see Cyndi Lauper, and William was playing his Mike Watt bass all night long, which he was. And it didn't go out of tune. It was really cool.
Bass, I mean,
I've heard some bass players go out of tune. Trust me.
I've been one of them.
yeah.
I resemble that remark. But anyhow, so I thought that was kind of cool. And Kenny wrote back, yeah, he's a real cool guy. And, the guy could probably play any bass that he wanted to. But he settled on the Mike Watt bass.
I dig it.
Which is pretty cool. And it's orange. I mean, perfect for this time of year.
Too cool.
So that was one of the highlights of my music world this week.
That is delightful.
And also Elle King opened up for her. Now, people might know her from her big hit was X's and O's. She's kind of like a Wanda Jackson kind of sounding thing, and she did a fantastic
That's a great
job.
song.
Yeah, it is a great song. But she actually grew up in Gahanna, which is an eastern suburb of Columbus, and she is also Rob Schneider's daughter from Saturday
I did not
Night
know
Live.
that.
Yes.
Interesting.
So there you go.
Huh?
I just brought it all back together.
So you went and saw her?
Well, she opened for Cyndi Lauper.
Did you yell, "You can do it"? You should have.
I did not.
Yeah.
So
Missed opportunity. All right, Donovan, what's going on in your music world this week that doesn't involve building your pedals?
Okay. Well, to keep the Reverend train going for a second, I actually just bought a Reverend Bob Balch signature.
Oh, yes.
I'm a huge Fu Manchu fan, and I tried it out. I love that guitar. It's like one of the best guitars I've ever owned. And I might buy another one, honestly. But the main thing that's been happening in my week, I guess this is kind of related to the pedals, is I just did an event on Sunday called the Pedals and Pints, which was down in Cincinnati at Fretboard Brewing.
Oh,
it was
cool.
a lot of local Ohio pedal builders. A couple that you guys have had on the show before, Native Audio, Occult Effects, all that stuff, and Thimble Wasp. And that was awesome. It was a great time. Met a lot of cool people. Got to really have, folks come and try stuff out and have some conversations, which is a lot better than when you sell it online. You're just kind of like, oh, this looks cool. But when someone comes in, they stand at your table and,
Well,
play
most
guitar.
importantly, how is the beer at Fretboard
Actually,
Brewing?
quite good. They had a Vienna-style lager called Lager Rhythms that was excellent.
I love it.
It was quite good. I'm a big fan.
It's not as good as Mothfet, but...
No, it's not quite as good as Mothfet. No.
Don't give that name.
Don't!
No.
Now it's in the ether. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I was hoping to be down there, and then I realized the way we had to work it out. I had my daughter's birthday, and we went down. And so I was in Cincy, but for something different. I would have loved to have been there. Well, since you asked, Tony.
Hey, how about you, Todd?
Thanks. This week, in the mail, I got a new supply of picks. I'm trying out some different picks.
What kind of picks?
Well, the first one that I got, I think it was called it's V picks, and it was I think I was trying the Racer before or something like that, and it was just kind of a normal looking pick, but what I liked about it was the material it's made out of. The minute you have any moisture on your finger, it's like kind of just sticks like glue. It doesn't need raised bumps and all that stuff. And the only problem is I guess I just didn't realize this, but apparently I play pretty kind of heavy-ish, hardish, because I showed a picture. I said, Hex, because my friend Hex turned me on to these. And I said, are these supposed to do this? He's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just practicing. And those are like $5 a piece. And I went through 5 of them real quick, which I was kind of surprised about. So then he'd given me a thicker one, like sort of a triangle, a proper triangle. And I was like, this is thick and it's big and it's triangle. I was like, I'm not gonna like this. And I started playing with it. I'm like, I kind of like it. And I haven't gone with the thicker picks in the past because it's kind of all 6 or none strings. You know, I'm not doing, arpeggios or arpeggios, not arpeggios in an archipelago. Yes. Anyways, I'm not doing the wheelie as much.
A chain of notes in the ocean is called an arpeggio.
There you go. Perfect. I like it. You're hired. At any rate, so I tried out this one, and I was like, I really like this, and it's not grinding down. It's kind of hanging in there with me. And so just out of curiosity, I was going to go order some more. And then I ran across these other ones called chicken picks.
Chicken picks.
Now, some of you are probably going, duh, because apparently it's one of those things. If you know, you know.
Are they made from chickens?
They are not, or pigs. But they're made in the Netherlands. And they're made out of this. You know when you go in like some hotel bathrooms and stuff, and you get out and you're like, well, there's water everywhere because it doesn't have a shower curtain. It's a fancy open shower. And then you go get your trousers and you come back on and you're like, where'd all the water go? Because the stone like absorbs it. This is like that same stuff. It's really, really interesting texture. I don't know exactly what it's made out of. I need to investigate that a little further. But I gave my fingers the old lick first, and then I was like, oh wow, that's not going anywhere. And it's not grinding down either. I'm kind of liking these. But they're $7 a piece.
Yikes.
Like, yeah. So hang on to those.
Can we go back to the hotel room thing?
What?
So when the water gets absorbed into said stone,
Yeah.
and you walk on it,
Yeah.
does it go squish squish?
No, because it goes into the stone, and then ultimately it just evaporates. I'm not saying this is made out of shower floor stone. I'm just saying
That's pretty thick stone.
It's made out of some kind of composite that I need to investigate a little further to be able to speak more intelligently about, which I'm probably not doing right now. But
I think it deserves a trip to the Netherlands to check it out.
Anyways,
How they're made.
check them out. Chicken picks, yeah. You can get them on Amazon, so and on the website. So it's kind of neat. Anyways, that's what I did this week. I messed around with picks.
That's good.
Okay, now what I didn't do was actually I did do. Oh my gosh, because I had these pedals.
Yes.
And I had to chain them up.
Yeah.
How do you think I did that, Tony?
Did you use like that real thick chain?
No, I'm not going to even entertain this to further bore our audience. But what I did use was Tour Gear Design's patch cables.
That was my second choice.
I brought out my box and I said, clink, 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 clink. And I got them all hooked up and off I went.
Just out of curiosity,
Yep.
Did you use the C or the S?
I used all C because these are all top mounts here. I didn't need an S-shape cable, but
could you have used one?
I absolutely could have. I was going to hook into something that required that. Anyways, go to tourgeardesigns.com.
Yes.
Order a whole bunch of these cables, put them in your cart, get ready to buy them, and you're going to get a little coupon area. You're going to put in the guitar knobs, all one word. You're going to save 15%.
15%?
That is correct. And
wow.
that's a really, really good deal. And it's only for our listeners.
That's right.
So, highly recommend them.
Yes.
Go get you some.
Yes.
Make yourself happy. Thank you to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor. Tony? I don't like that. We're going to use one of our guests' entries. Take it away, Steve Keys.
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
4 on the floor.
All right. Donovan Johnson from Cryptid Audio Investigations. We'll get into what the heck that means. What is your 4 on the floor?
All right, my 4 on the floor. My first one is from a guy you've had on here before, Al from Occult Effects.
Yes.
His pedal, the Grimoire. It's one of his overdrives. He does a few of them, and this one's kind of my favorite. It's just, I kind of hate to use the word transparent, but it is very transparent.
Yes.
It's a great foundational drive. You kind of like put it on at the beginning of your chain, and you can kind of use it to drive other like pedals in front of it, or you can drive you drive your amp. I kind of use it for both. And it's also kind of tightens up the low end a little bit, at least the way I run it. But it's got...
I hate a mushy low end.
I agree.
I really don't like that.
And I like to downtune. I play like in drop C and stuff like that. So having like a really mushy low end is kind of a no-go for me. So being able to really get that tight and kind of be able to palm mute and have it be pretty percussive is kind of the way to go for me. And
you play like a 9-string?
No. could not even begin. But that one is great, and I love all of Al's stuff.
And he's from Ohio.
Oh yeah.
And those pedals are, you can go, where can you go get it? It's Occult. He still goes just by Occult Effects, right?
Occult Effects.
I know that there was a little bit of kerfuffle about the name.
Oh yeah, I think there's another company that's also called something very similar.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, no,
The
he's
Grimoire.
Yes, the Grimoire.
Got it.
Like a old scary book.
Yes.
The Grimoire. I love that thing. My second one, number 2 on the foreign floor. My shirt kind of gives it away. Audience, you can't see this, but
it says show me. Oh no.
It is.
Says I'm with stupid. So Tony, what is?
What do you mean?
Anyways,
it's the Russian Big Muff. My very first pedal I ever bought was a Russian Big Muff. Bought it for $40.
wow.
And I've kind of retired it from live use. It's old and it's fallen apart so many times, and the switch is broken, and I've replaced it. But between bass and guitar, I've been using it for years and years and years. It's one of my favorite pedals ever.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let me ask you what what version of that pedal you use now.
So the version that I have, if you go by I think it's the Kit Ray website, it's the version 7D.
Oh.
So it's the same. It's so you have the green ones, and then you have the black ones. It's kind of in the middle. So it's still the big like the green one, but it's painted black, and it has the not as dumb switch.
Right.
It's got
the knob ball thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So and that one works.
Yeah.
Great.
It does. And it's awesome. I've
Cool.
used it for years.
All right. Mm-hmm. How about number 3?
Number 3 is actually one I just bought recently. It's the Julia Chorus by Walrus Audio.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a huge Chorus fan. Like, I was a big 90s, like, alt-rock kind of guy, so Chorus was, like, a huge effect in that. Mm-hmm. And the Julia was the first one I ever used that I could really, like, get the tone I wanted out of it without having to futz with it too much. It's got the dry blend, it goes from kind of dry to chorus to vibrato, and you can do a whole lot of stuff with it. It also kind of fits with my vibe because the Julia is like an unexplained sound. That's why they named it that. So it kind of fits with my whole cryptid thing.
Right.
Yeah. Love that thing. And then last, I had to go with an Earthquaker. It's the Afterneath.
Okay.
And the one that I have is specifically, again, part of the theme. It's the Loch Ness Monster version. So it's got the Loch Ness Monster on the front. Fun. I use that for just like weird ambient stuff. I love that thing.
Cool. All right. Those make sense based on what we talked about at your studio.
Yeah.
I get that. That's very cool. And you blazed right through those.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Did I go too fast?
No. You're fine. You're fine. I do have a question. I want to go back to the Big Muff real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
There are more versions of that, between that and the Rat pedal. I'm sure the Muff has even more versions than there are of the Rat. But I'm just trying to think of ones that have just like,
sure.
There's hundreds and hundreds of versions of that. But you're still using the Electro Harmonics version.
Yeah. I own a couple of different Muff, versions, including the reissue, and the Earthquaker Hazumi tests. I also really like. That's based on the Elk, which is also a Big Muff clone. But the Russian kind of, the only thing it doesn't have is like a dry blend, which would be great for bass. But
sounds like that's on the list of your next coming up pedals, maybe.
Maybe so. maybe that's the Yeti or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that one's already. That might be out there.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, we'll figure it out.
we'll figure it out.
Just hang around here. We'll get it done.
Sure.
Okay, cool. I thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
We want to talk to you about the pedals that we have in front of us, but we also want to get to just kind of know the person behind the pedals, what you're into musically,
Yeah.
what makes you tick, blah blah blah, all those great things. I do want to. You've dropped a couple of hints on things. First of all, I think we can answer the burning question of like, what is the name about?
Okay. So the word cryptid means like a creature that has sort of not been officially discovered yet, you know.
Okay.
So usually when people are talking about cryptids, they're talking about Bigfoot or they're talking about Mothman or they're talking about those kinds of things. That was something as a kid, I got really into monsters. I grew up in New Jersey, so I went to the New York Museum, the Natural History Museum all the time. So I'd see the dinosaurs and I'd see the giant squid and I'd see all that stuff. I was mesmerized by that kind of thing.
Yeah, if you believe in science.
Yeah, absolutely. And I read a book about Bigfoot when I was like a little kid. I got hooked on it.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, this is the coolest thing ever. Do I think any of it's real? Probably not. No, but I
You
still
said probably.
probably not.
Yeah, probably. You're leaving it open. I like that.
Yeah, but it was just something really neat and interesting. And when I started building pedals and wanted to make my own circuits, I just kind of was like, why don't I make them all monsters? You know?
Yeah.
I asked a few people; they thought it was a cool idea.
So there you go.
Yeah.
And not only did you make them monsters, but you didn't go for you kind of made them about let's say American folklore creatures.
Yes.
Name a couple. We won't go directly into the pedals. We just want to give them a taste of what we're looking at here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll kind of give you the ones that I have the most personal attachment to.
Sure.
Like I said, I grew up in New Jersey. Jersey Devil is a big one growing up. I was in Boy Scouts, so we went camping. It was always like, you gotta be careful. Jersey Devil's out there.
Yeah.
My family, I've got some family from Southern Ohio. They're from the town actually right across the bridge from Point Pleasant, West Virginia, which
Yeah.
is where the Mothman's supposed to be from. My great aunt actually said that when she was in high school, which was in the late 60s, she would go across the bridge and, she and her friends would go look for Mothman. At least that's what they said. They were probably just making out, but that's what they said they were doing. Yeah. But, the only one that doesn't really follow the cryptid theme is the Rift. And
yeah. Well, you forgot what about the Kentucky?
we do have the Kentucky Goblin, and that was kind of a done by my artist who does all the artwork for me. He's a huge goblin guy. He's just really into goblins.
Got it.
And so when I started working with him, he was like, "Hey man, you got to let me draw a goblin." I was like, "Yeah, heck yeah, absolutely."
Okay.
And
You got a mermaid.
I do have the mermaid. That's not out yet.
No. So it probably I'm imagining it's going to get a more beefy name.
It might
Or
just be the
might just
mermaid.
be the mermaid?
Maybe it'll be the Fiji mermaid or something
Okay.
like that, because that's the cryptid version.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so yeah, obviously you like fun things and you like things that make a lot of big racket.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to get into the pedals in just a little bit, because another thing that you kind of were dropping hints of is your musical stylings. I guess contemporary jazz is what you're
yeah,
like
absolutely.
smooth jazz. Yeah. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So the most contemporary jazz is stoner metal.
Yes.
And so I've been in a stoner heavy rock band for like 10 years now.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of anything, you're using big fuzz pedals, you're down tuning your guitars. I said I was a big 90s like alternative grunge guy, all that stuff. And that is just kind of where I got all my ideas for the sounds that I'm doing.
Right.
And I also play bass as well as guitar.
Uh-huh.
And so one of the big things was I wanted to make sure all the pedals were useful for both.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
interesting to know. We didn't talk about that, so that's cool. We'll get into that a little bit more.
Sure.
I had the opportunity to come over and see your studio in
Yes.
town, and we saw you got some really great equipment, and it was interesting because one of the first things that I spotted was a Furman power conditioner.
Yeah, I've got 3 of them.
Which we literally just got through talking about, and then I looked around. I'm like, "Whoa, they're all over the place here." You've got some big amps and big stacks and lots of big. It looks like it probably sounds.
Oh yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your choices on your amps and stuff.
Oh yeah. I'm a big Sun nerd. Sun amps, and I own personally a lot of their 70s and 80s like solid state stuff.
Okay.
Like the Betas and the Coliseums.
For bass?
Bass
for
and
guitar?
guitar.
Okay.
But mostly bass. Because they were 300 watts. They were huge and powerful, and that was what they were doing at the time. And they kind of developed a underground sort of following in the, specifically in like the 90s and 2000s. Guys like the Melvins used them, and Red Fang and all that kind of stuff. And that's how I really got into that sound.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Mike, guitar player in my band, who's got a lot of gear there too, he's got the like late 60s, early 70s Sun tube amps, the Solaris and the Scepter and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. Because he's more into I think that kind of thing, like the acid rock, like psychedelic
Right.
kind of thing.
A
Yeah.
little warmer, rounder kind of thing.
But I'm also a big Mountain fan, and Mountain was using that stuff back in
Yeah.
the day. Love that stuff.
Cool. We also got to check out some of your guitars,
Oh, yes.
which hilariously was also themed on one of our recent shows with Chris Gill.
Oh, yeah. So my main guitar is a Yamaha SBG, which was like Yamaha's Les Paul killer back in the day. Love that thing. It's, made in Japan. Awesome. I think it's of the 700S. And I've played regular Les Pauls, and that thing just kills. And it's lighter, as you said. It's lighter
I was
than...
shocked at how light that was. Really, I mean, I grabbed it and I was like, "Whoa," because I expected it to be, at least 10 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
And it was not. You also have another couple of goodies.
Yes, I have a 90s Court, and I don't know what series it is. I would love to learn more about it. I've emailed Court and never got a reply, but it's got this fleur-de-lis design, and it's this great Les Paul knockoff that I probably paid $100 for, and it rips. One of my
That's cool.
favorites.
Yeah, and you said that it was the Yamaha was a Les Paul killer, but it is in the it's kind of like the Rev Star came from that.
Yeah,
yeah,
it did. But the Rev Stars are, I think, thinner body. They're
yeah,
yeah.
But the remnant of the SG kind of
They
horn,
double cut
horn
Yeah.
kind of thing. That was that guitar was that had some weight to it.
Oh yeah.
But it was really cool, and that fell into one of our recent episodes about sleeper guitars, and just these the ones that are really great that people don't necessarily talk about as much, that you can get for a killer deal and be really, really happy with.
Absolutely.
Super cool. Bass, what do you plan? How low can you go? Death row. Sorry. Whew. That just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Tell us about your basses.
On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, my main bass is a Rickenbacker. I watched... there was a band that I used to play with. We still play it sometimes, but they're from Cleveland. And the bass player at the time, she was playing a Rickenbacker bass. And they were this huge, heavy, nasty band. And I kept thinking, I was just like, man, I didn't know Rickenbackers could sound like that. I thought they were, more old-fashioned, plinky kind of things. But I bought it, and...
This is before you saw Motorhead, I take it.
Well, I had seen Motorhead, but
Okay.
the sound, Lemmy plays that Rickenbacker, but he's doing a whole different thing. He's
Right,
playing it
he's
like a guitar.
trebly and all
yeah,
that, but
it's wild. And so I thought, you can't do heavy stuff with it.
Got it.
But and also, Nick Oliveri from Queens of the Stone Age also kind of proved me wrong on that. So I'm dumb in multiple ways. But
Also in the dwarves.
Oh, yeah.
I think doesn't get quite enough. It is closely associated with Queens, but plays in the dwarves all the
completely
they come
forgot
here
about
all
that.
the time.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
But that's my main bass. I've been playing that for years. I could never.
Which model?
Oh, it's the 4003S. So it's it doesn't have the two the two inputs, and it doesn't have the neck binding and stuff like that. So it's a little simpler.
Like the studio.
Yeah, like the
sort
studio.
Of, if we want
And dot inlays.
And the dot inlays, yes.
That's correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Tony knows his rigs.
Oh, I know he does.
That's cool, man. Mm-hmm. Very neat. It was. I appreciate you letting me come over and see all that. It's always great to, get to know the people before they come on the show and everything. I think that translates. Now, you got these great pedals here. How did you fall into all these pedals? Because you don't have like one or two. You've got a lot. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to know, background of how this all came about.
Like how I started doing pedals in the first place? Well, I was in a band when I was like 20 years old, and everyone in the band was this huge tall guy. Like I'm 6'1", I was the shortest guy in the band. And we were a raucous sludge metal grunge thing, and we were stomping on our pedals, and we were just breaking them constantly. So somebody needed to fix them. So I kind of learned how to solder, kind of learned how to do that. Started to buy like kits. Didn't really know how to do that. Spent years sort of making kits that didn't work. And then...
you should have tried making kits that did work.
Yeah, I should have. You're right.
Oh.
I don't know what I was thinking back then. But during the pandemic, I moved into a house with a bunch of musicians, and they had a bunch of broken pedals. And I was just like, hey, let me take a crack. I'll just fix all your broken stuff. And then I was like, why don't I start building like custom jobs? Why don't I just make stuff for people? And that turned into, kind of a local, hey, I'll build something for friends kind of thing, which turned into selling on Reverb, which turned into I'm designing my own circuits. And I never thought it would be a business. I thought it would, never thought it would be a business with a name and like a, tax ID or whatever. I just thought it would be something I'd do for my friends.
Yeah. It's like you're a real boy now.
Yeah.
That's super cool. So you didn't necessarily have a proclivity towards the electronic world or anything.
So I kind of always harbored this idea that, I would maybe one day kind of get into it, but as a hobby thing, just as a fix some pedals, work on some stuff. I always thought that I would be just playing, and I just sort of took to it, and I really enjoyed doing it. And now I'm actually in school for electrical engineering. So
no kidding. Mm-hmm. Oh wow! Did you share that with Mike Trombley?
No, I did not.
Oh, because he's got a dang near a doctorate's degree in it. I mean,
that dude's crazy. Their engineering is amazing.
Yeah, but he went for school exactly for that. He would have been actually probably pretty stoked to know that you were doing that.
Oh yeah.
So tell me, as somebody who didn't necessarily start building pedals with a great understanding of how to do this before, tell us about some of your biggest, I guess, hurdles.
Yeah, I think the hurdle to start with is that there's not a ton out there for. Trying to think of how to put this. What the very basic fundamentals are, so you can kind of learn how to solder, and you can kind of learn how to buy stuff, and there's instructions, but it won't tell you why to do those things. It'll just sort of say, follow the instructions. Right. And then, if you go online and you look up questions, it's people who've been doing it for years, and they're like, oh, well, connect the ground here and do this. And you're just like, I don't know what any of those words mean. I'm just following the instructions. Right. So that hurdle getting from 0 to 5 is pretty challenging, and it's a lot of trial and error.
I'm gonna, for the foodie guys and chefs out there, it's like if someone said, put the butter in a cold pan and add water and then stir it. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Well, we're going to make a per blanc. Well, why does he have to do that? Because that's how the things actually emulsify together and break up and bond. If you just put it in and it doesn't work. Okay, that would have been great to know because
Yeah, make a roux. Just make a roux.
Right, exactly. To me, that still is one of the tricky bits about, I really enjoy getting in there and doing this stuff. For me, it's a bit like algebra. I failed algebra 4 times. I honestly, and because they're like, x plus y equals 13. I'm like, but how come? And I couldn't figure it out. And I was so busy asking, don't tell me what it is. I need to know why that is. And that was a total wall for me. And I've run into that often with the whole pedal thing. It's like, that's great. I can follow a schematic, but I don't necessarily know why, 3 resistors in a row is better than 4 or worse than 2 or whatever. Anyways, this is not about me. This is about you.
No.
Okay, so the hurdles that you're finding were the sort of the why. What are a few of the others?
Yeah, that was really the big one. And then sort of this is more of a maybe philosophical thing is when you get to a certain point, you're like, what kind of pedal should I make? Should I just clone something? Should I try and design something from the ground up, or should I sort of do something in between, take something that already exists and add to it? I think when you first get started, you sort of don't know what the rules are. You don't know what the etiquette is. And, I'll have to say, I've gotten a decent amount of guidance, like watching pedal makers and talking to them, and kind of realizing that that's what we're all doing. We're all just kind of making it up as we go along. And it's very, going to use an overused word, empowering to sort of know you just took a tube screamer and you just added an extra thing to it and you're selling that? That's allowed? Okay, cool. I'm going to do that. That sounds great.
Yeah.
So I kind of, and I think, there's points for originality, but at the same time, at the end of the day, as long as it sounds good.
Right.
That's really a big thing.
That's a great point. The points for originality, absolutely. If you're able to knock out a totally original circuit on something, that's really, really extra cool. I think that what we encounter lots of, this is based on a blah, right? Oh, this is a rat bass, this is a muff bass, whatever. But beyond what the sort of circuit origin is, does it sound good to me? Is there some aspect of the pedal that I am attached to from a novel standpoint or other reason? Does it feel good to play? And even kind of what we're doing right now. Am I able to sort of have a connection with the builder, right? All those other things go well beyond whatever the circuit is.
Yeah.
And there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of pedals out there.
So many.
Right? So if you're stuck and you're like, if I can't come up with something original, then what's the point of doing it? There's a lot of that's not the point. The point is just to do it.
Yeah.
And you're gonna put your own spin on it somehow, right?
Yeah, you have to. If after doing it for a while, you're just gonna sort of develop your own techniques,
right?
By accident, but it's gonna happen. I think that's part of the process of becoming, a builder or maker, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah, but that can also be a real big hurdle because everybody else out there has sort of found this is my flag, this is my thing. Was that daunting for you? It
was actually, and it kind of started with the decision to kind of turn it into Cryptid Audio. Was sort of, I was thinking about other names, other ideas, like what would I call pedals? What would I, and what I sort of eventually came onto was I was just like, what's a thing that I just really like? That's just really cool to me. And then, I'm just going to find some cool artists to draw stuff for me, and then I'll make circuits that I like. And then, if people want to buy it, great. And if not, I have cool pedals that I like anyway.
There you go.
Yeah. That's
Good move. To those that are considering starting doing this kind of thing, what was a great piece of advice that you would pass on?
ask questions specifically. Like I know it's hard to sort of be the novice, but the thing that held me back a lot is that I kept thinking, I'm like, well, I'm smart enough to figure this out. I could just get in there and figure out what's going on. And so many times the answer was, oh, if I go on here and ask, and someone's going to say, yeah, I did this exact same mistake 10 times. This is what it is. And the more you sort of get over that and you go, this is a collaborative experience with everybody. There's forums. There's a great website called Pedal PCB where you can just order boards of a million different circuits that already exist, and then you can just build them for fun. And you can even sell them as long as you say, like, hey, this is a pedal PCB thing. And the forums on that website are awesome. They're so helpful. You go on there and you say, hey, I'm having trouble with this. What do I do? And they'll say, hey, I've built 10 of these. Here's things to watch out for. And you'll kind of learn how you go. The one that I really liked that I kind of got started on was Build Your Own Clone, but I think I heard that they're not going to be around anymore. Unfortunately.
Okay.
Hopefully that's wrong. Hopefully they're but that was a really great one getting started, because that one you didn't even have to order your own parts. You could just order the kit and they'd send you everything.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. And that's a great way to start. What was your first pedal?
So my first design that I did.
Yes.
Okay. That would be the Rift here.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
There's kind of a fun story with that. So my band, Pale Gray Lore, we were recording our second album.
Pale Gray Lore.
Pale Gray Lore.
Okay.
And the band sounds exactly like you would think with that name. But Xander, the guitar player, he was getting his guitar tone on the song The Rift. And it's a great guitar tone. It's real fuzzy and nasty, but he did it in the studio. He was playing through an Ampeg V4 cranked. He was playing like 2 or 3 fuzz pedals kind of stacked into each other. And it sounded huge. It sounded amazing, but it was completely, you can't do that live. You just can't.
Yeah.
And they actually had the police called on them because it was every time he would stop playing, it would just like, and he's kind of proud of that, actually. But when he wanted to do that song live, he's like, I can't, the pedals that I'm using, I can't get that sound. And he had a few boutique fuzzes that were kind of falling apart at the time.
Yeah.
They would break the switch or whatever, and I'd fix it. But he was just like, I don't know what to do. And I said, tell you what, I'm going to see if I can design you a circuit that just kind of does that sound. And I'll just kind of design it, and then I'll work with you to see what works best. And so I designed it kind of based on a couple of schematics that were out there, and then I just did a bunch of mods to it, and then I had about 10 different versions. And I went into the studio that you went to, sat on the floor, and I just kept plugging his guitar in. I said, A or B, which one you like more? And then he worked with me for hours, just saying, yeah, this is the one I like the best. And that ended up being the main circuit on the Rift.
That's a cool story.
Absolutely.
All right.
I say absolutely a lot. I'm realizing now that I'm on a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and yes, when I plugged that one in, I was like, okay, I know exactly what this is for and what it does. It's not one that you necessarily just, let me dial this in.
No.
It just, you get the thing it does, or you don't.
Yeah, you let that thing rip. That's kind of where you go with that. It's kind of noisemaker-y. It's kind of crazy, but you can do some really cool stuff with it.
Awesome. Well, let's go through a couple of these here. Tony, you played these as well as I did.
Yeah.
Why don't you kick us off here?
Well, I think we were talking earlier. I liked the Mothman. And this one is, does it... would you call it more an overdrive, or does it go into more on a distortion kind of circuit?
So I think of it as a fuzz.
I do too.
Okay, you
But-
think of a fuzz.
I have been told by many people who try it that they like to turn the gain down and run it
Yeah.
into like a dirty amp or something, like a kind of a fuzzy drive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's well, you can see where I had my settings. So
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's
the
what-
the right before it starts to get super fuzzy and you're sitting squarely in that tone is a really nice place with that.
Absolutely.
and your controls on this are wings, dark, and fear.
I knew we'd get into this.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of cool. And the one thing I see.
Explain it to me, Papa.
I explain it. You seem to have a thing for 2 LEDs.
Yeah.
But anyhow, back to the Mothman. I thought what was really cool, and I'm not a super big fuzzy guy, but in the way that I have this configured, I really thought that it could be used as more of an overdrive. And then the dark setting, is that a center detente pot? I mean, is it, or does it go from one side emphasizing bass, other side emphasizing treble?
It's really just a high end roll off.
Oh, it is high end roll off.
That's really all it is.
So
yeah.
it's a tone control.
Yeah. You might be amazed to find out that the topology of that circuit, it's just a tone bender.
Oh, okay.
Like I just used that, but I didn't use any of the parts that a tone bender uses. Like I used completely different transistors, completely different.
I built a car like that.
values. Yeah, but if you just look at the circuit, it's a tone bender.
Yeah.
And I tell people that, and they're like, that's not a tone. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah, that does not sound. I mean, it certainly doesn't sound like a tone bender. But I like that one a lot. I thought that was.
Yeah.
A
the
very
car,
useful
the car that
pedal.
I built, it looks like a Chevy, but it drives like a Kawasaki.
it's a motorcycle. How's that
I
work?
don't know. I kind of had to just complete the, silliness. I also now I got to be honest.
Sure.
You have these, it's a horrible looking creature on there. Mm-hmm. And the 2 LEDs that Tony brought up are the eyes.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at this, kind of like we were talking about Al, right? And I don't know if he still does this, but I remember after he was on the show, he set up at the local guitar show.
Yep.
And I actually walked over and I like, how's it going? He's like, oh man, I'm not selling anything. Maybe it's the candles and all the bones.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
People were a little
it
scared.
looks like a sacrifice is happening here, And the thing is, his pedals are like, they're not just that. They're very usable in all kinds of other situations. But you would never know that.
Yeah.
And so it just picking up this pedal in particular, I was like, okay, I'm probably not going to find this usable because it's clearly, unless I'm plugged into a giant Atlas cab and, et cetera, et cetera. And it was totally usable.
Yeah.
I mean, it was actually, it has a great range of drive functionality in it. So it is a very simple looking pedal, but that's got a lot of versatility packed into it.
Yeah. Plus, there is a undocumented feature. If you hold it next to a bridge, it can tell you if the bridge is going to collapse or not.
Yeah. That's why I chose the color on there. It's bridge silver
Oh,
because it was the silver bridge. Yeah, it's a great joke about a horrible tragedy where people died. But
yes, I had a feeling that was going. So I don't know the lore of any of these animals. I got to be.
You don't know the
creatures.
lore of the Mothman?
No, I'm not from here.
Oh, boy.
well, Mothman has become mainstream, though.
Well,
like-
yeah.
Have you not seen the?
No.
Have you not seen the movie Mothman Prophecies?
yeah, with Richard Gere.
Why would I have seen that movie?
Yeah,
That
it's
sounds
actually a good question.
Terrible.
It's not a good movie.
The
Even though
bridge.
Richard
The bridge
Gere's in it.
collapses in the end. So, spoiler!
Oh, spoiled
no.
it. Oh man.
terrible. Well, let's move on to let's do this one. Tony and I both really love this pedal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is great. This is the Kentucky Goblin Distortion. Now it's got three.
Is that named after Mitch McConnell?
Oh, jeez.
It's not the Kentucky Turtle. It's the Kentucky Goblin.
Yeah. And you got the two LEDs on the eyes, which is cool. Now, why did we like this? Why do you think? What is your interpretation of why we might have liked this?
Ooh, wow, excellent question. I think the way I sort of designed it was that I was trying to go for a kind of a classic distortion, like, straightforward guitar distortion that just had a couple of features that, are to taste. So, one of the switches is the type of clipping.
You got two toggles on there.
Yeah, two toggles.
Three knobs, two toggles.
Yep. One of the switches switches between different types of clipping. Three different diodes. It's germanium, silicone, and LED. So you get a couple of different options.
Which is that?
The left one.
Got it.
And then the right one kind of controls the low end response.
Yes. Okay. That's.
And the up and down are kind of your, I think, more standard guitar low end options. And then in the middle is I kind of call it bass mode, where basically it's cutting a lot of the gain, it's adding like really low end, so it's really good, I think, for using it for bass. But you might use it for guitar. It sounds really good for that too.
Yeah, and this, as we were talking earlier, is kind of has a lot of the distortion plus flavors built into it. And with the notable exception is there's actually a tone control on it, which a D plus does not have that.
Yeah.
And it can be painfully bright sometimes.
Yeah. I'm not, I know there's a lot of distortion plus. I'm like, man.
I used to have one of the old like block logo ones.
Yeah.
And it was a cool pedal, but I just could not use it.
It's just, it's kind of.
I had to turn it all the way up so that when I turned it on, it didn't cut my volume. Like,
yeah. Okay, so you got those switches on it. Now, when you're saying just a straight distortion, this is not a we're gonna color your sounds like super MIDI, or super scooped. It's like pretty flat.
Yeah, I like the idea that I like the idea of having maybe a slight mid hump. You want to get a little more mids in there just so it cuts through a little bit. And then having the low end response, you can kind of cut some low end if you want to.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of the pedal that when you turn it on, it doesn't sound anything like what you were doing already.
Right.
I kind of wanted to take what sound you've already got and just give it a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's a great pedal.
Yeah, Mike,
really, really versatile.
the guitar player in my band, he literally turned it on the first time and he was just like, oh, it's just kind of like everything but tightened up a little bit. And I was just like, yeah, there you go.
Yep. Well, and that's a great point. You don't have to you don't have to run it with like full on distortion signal. Just even a little bit of a bump is like, that's pretty cool right there. And that also has some really handsome graphics on there, so pretty fun.
Oh yeah,
It's hard not to like look at that and go, oh, I want this. I kind of don't care what it does.
Yeah, credit to my buddy Adam Eckley. He's doing all the art and the screen printing for me,
Nice.
and he does such a great job.
We also noticed that you're a fan of the non-central located foot switch. What's all that about?
That actually kind of started as an accident. When I was first making the designs, I sort of
You
realized,
have really bad eyesight or something?
no, what it was.
The drill slipped.
Wow, that would have to slip a lot. So I put the artwork, because the first runs that I was doing, and I think the Mothman and Jersey Devil you still have here, they're just a sticker that I just applied on there. And when I was first applying the sticker, I was like, oh, I can't. If I put the foot switch anywhere, it's gonna cut through the artwork, and I couldn't figure out a way to put the logo and the name and everything on there.
Right, and it would look kind of silly if it was a teeny little monster.
Exactly. So I ended up just kind of offsetting it a little bit.
Yeah.
And, I just think it maybe makes it a little more unique.
That's a little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a not too distant cousin of the Kentucky Goblin distortion would be the Banshee Drive.
Yeah. Also, really cool graphics. Really fun.
Very cool stuff.
yeah.
And this one comes with a volume, tone, and shriek control.
Yes, and yes, volume, tone, shriek, and wait, what else?
And a couple of switches.
Yes,
What are
that's
the
what I was like,
switches?
wait,
do?
are the shriek the switch? I'm trying to remember, and it's not.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So dish.
So the switches on this one, this time the bass response is on the left side. I really, like I said, bass player and a guitar player, I really like having options for low end. I can't tell you how many times I had a great guitar distortion, thought it was awesome, couldn't use it on bass because it just cut all my low end.
Right.
So the left switch is kind of a bass boost, down it's normal, up you get a little extra low end. And then the right switch is basically symmetrical, asymmetrical clipping.
Got it.
I'm a huge fan of the asymmetrical clipping because
I agree.
it gets a little chewy, gets kind of nasty. I love that stuff, and I felt like it just made it sound a lot better.
Sure.
But some people like the symmetrical. It was easy to do both, so might as well do
Now
both.
this is arguably a lower gain overdrive.
I agree.
And maybe the color was influencing me, but I was like, this feels like is kind of like a tube screamer with, just a little extra stuff.
Well, what does the Banshee do? It screams.
That's what I figured. Okay, so I'm not far off.
You are not far off. No.
Except this one shrieks.
It does
It
shriek.
does
Yeah.
shriek, yes.
It's a little bit extra, a little bit more, and
It's a very, very clever and not like on the nose version of a tube screamer.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. That's cool.
I think kind of my design philosophy with all of my pedals is I want to take a circuit or an idea for a pedal that's I like already, but there's just one or two things about it that I think I wish were just a little bit different. And so I make those changes, and I think, hey, if
Necessity is a mother of invention.
exactly. And if nobody else ever buys one, then I've got the pedal that I want.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. Now, those are the ones that are in your current, just say, production lineup.
Yes.
You also gave us 2 prototypes, which we love getting prototypes because it's like this is cool because we kind of get to pre-break them.
Yeah.
So tell us about.
Oh,
these.
it is Oh man.
Oh, not like that. Introduce.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So the Mermaid.
Tony really likes the Mermaid.
I did.
I did too.
So the Mermaid, I wanted to do modulation pedals. And modulation, if anyone who's ever built pedals, all of my pedals, by the way, they're all analog. They're all like mechanical switch. Like I'm not a digital guy, not because I don't think it's good. It's just not the kind of stuff that I like to make. And I'm not smart enough to program it. So that's a big part of it. So I wanted to make modulations, but for anybody who does all analog stuff, modulations are way harder than dirt pedals. It's so much easier to just clip and get distortion than it is to get some kind of like phase or chorus or flanger. I've been working on a Univibe chorus type effect for years, and I cannot get it right. There's a reason there's no prototype for that here. But the Mermaid is kind of my take on the Electric Mistress-esque kind of sound. I love that tone. Big Smashing Pumpkins fan, and like the Gish record has a lot of that, like 18 volt, not the deluxe Electric Mistress, but the earlier version. I love that tone. And
Why?
it's very, I guess the word would be shimmery. It just kind of like, it's not over the top. Some of those other kinds of flangers, the like jet flangers, they're very like kind of sound. Well, that's going to be great radio. But it's more watery. It sounds like you're kind of playing it underwater or something like that. And it's almost kind of a chorus flanger mix. And that was really what I was going for with the Mermaid. I wanted that like watery flange kind of sound that was subtle, but really interesting. And I think I'm close.
Yeah, this one is pretty, and I thought it was kind of a blend of a phaser and chorus and flanger.
Yeah.
Now there is a switch on here, and that almost is like a slapback kind of doubler.
So that is actually it's sort of a nod to the roots. Is that that is a filter matrix, like the switch on an old Electric Mistress.
Okay.
You get that filter matrix switch, so it gives you that kind of. it's almost like it's freezing the sweep in a certain place, and so you get that almost like ring modulator kind of tone. That
right.
It's a cool sound. I don't know if it's the most useful all the time kind of sound, but I sort of feel wrong not including it. You know, I sort of feel like I need to nod to its history a little bit, and I know it's one of those things that someone's gonna want to say like, oh, could you do something like that? I'll be like, yeah, I guess I can.
I guess so.
Yeah.
If I must.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. That I did enjoy that one.
It is a very musical pedal.
Yes.
I mean, these are all, by musical, we just mean it enables
You can make
a lot
music
of creativity with it. Yeah. So, and I appreciate that it wasn't just here comes a flanger.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of mystery to it. And I think that can actually be really useful, because sometimes if you take something at face value, you may not try to push it further because you think you already know what it's going to do. And so a lot of times when, there's beef about people like, just name it what it is. If it's bass, call it bass. If it's volume, call it volume. I kind of think that if you don't do that, at least if you know the functionality, at some point you get familiar with it. But that will probably let you play in areas that you may not choose to play in normally, which can end up going, oh my gosh, I didn't know I feel comfortable playing this type of sound, because I like it. But if you said it was a ring modulator, I'd say no.
Yeah.
So cool. And then your last proto here.
Yeah, the last prototype is actually going to be the next one out. I've got Adam working on the art right now, and I'm hoping to have it released before the end of the year. We will see.
Okay.
But that is the Death Worm. I'm thinking of calling that one the Death Worm Underdrive. The death.
You got some explaining to do.
I sure do.
What?
So the monster, the Death Worm, it's this thing. It's the Mongolian death worm. It's kind of like the dune worm, essentially. It like lives in the deserts, and it like goes through the ground, and it's supposed to shoot like acid or something at you. I thought it was a cool monster to kind
What
of.
was that one? The movie digging all the holes?
Oh, Tremors.
Tremors.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Okay.
Now you've seen that movie, but you
I
haven't
didn't
seen the
want- I
Mothman
didn't
Prophecies.
Want to. I was on a date, and that's what she
Tremors is much more of a classic. But it's kind of based on a pedal that I had on my baseboard for a long time, and I loved how it sounded. Wow, I don't know how much I want to get into this, but it's a clone of another pedal, but it's a bad clone. So they messed up stuff on it. It was a cheap pedal. It's like a Joyo $20 pedal.
Yeah.
And they messed up a bunch of stuff from the original that it was based on. And some of those things they messed up, I actually think sound really cool.
Okay.
And so I kind of said, you know what? What if I designed a pedal around those flaws?
Okay.
Around those things that kind of make it cool.
Yes.
And the main thing is that the right switch there is basically the original pedal it's a MOSFET clipping, so it had two MOSFETs in. Oh my gosh, forgetting the term for it, but they would clip both sides of the waveform.
Okay.
But they messed up the placement of one of the diodes, so if you turned it on, it wouldn't clip half your waveform. That sounds really cool, though, because it makes it asymmetrical. It's almost like a clean blend a little bit, because you've got one side that's not distorting nearly as much as the other side. It sounds awesome on bass. It sounds so good on bass. It sounds solid on guitar. Like, it sounds really cool. It's a MOSFET drive. It's heavy.
That thing practically blew up my amp. And I don't mean like it's going to damage your amp. It's not going to damage your amp. But I think that might have been the last one I played. I was like, oh my gosh! It was just like a fire hydrant of distortion. Was that just me, or that's intended?
It's kind of intended. It was sort of my attempt at making, like, some people like to make that amp style overdrive where it's like, this sounds like a crunchy amp or a distorted. That's kind of where I was going with that design.
But I may have to try that one again. Because I feel like maybe I didn't do it right.
There's still probably one or two little revisions that I want to do. Nothing major. Just to kind of, I think I'm going to probably have it in a smaller enclosure too. I think that one's a fun one. I really like that one.
Now, well, you just said smaller enclosure, but you got a couple of these pedals with the same exact layout as far as your controls, which I think is really cool. Why would you just out of curiosity, why would you put that in a smaller enclosure?
Kind of customer feedback, if I'm being honest.
Oh.
I've had quite a few people. I'm very much the kind of person who's like, if you like a pedal, you'll put it on your board.
Right.
But there are some people who really they see a pedal that's bigger than like a 125B MXR style, and they go, "Ooh, too big. I have this tiny little nano pedal board, and I don't want to have anything on there that's bigger than, a tiny small pedal."
Sure.
And so I've had a few people who have said to me, they're like, "Oh wow, the Mothman's really cool, but it's too big. I want a smaller one." I think the future of Cryptid Audio will be small and big pedals. There will be both sort of sizes.
You have the option.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
The other thing I wanted to note is there's only one LED on this one.
Yeah, there is. Well, worms don't have eyes, so I don't really know what to do with that one. When the artist gets back to me, he has some cool illustrations that he sends me. We'll probably do some things with that.
Now, the last one that we haven't talked about is the Jersey Devil. All right. Tell us about this thing. That was I realized I was maybe that one probably isn't for me.
It's not for the faint of heart.
No.
So one of my favorite vintage fuzzes ever is the Univox Super Fuzz.
Yeah.
It's a crazy great fuzz, but it's got one huge problem with it. So you got mode 1 or mode 2. So you got no mids or too much mids. You really can't get anywhere in between.
Right.
And so I never liked mode 1. So I wanted to take mode 2 and kind of be like, okay, let's add a mid-range control to it. And then, I also really like the Boss Hyper Fuzz, which was sort of Boss's kind of higher gain, nastier take on the Univox.
That's super nasty.
Yeah.
That is a super, super nasty pedal.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. I was like, this is too much nasty.
Oh, I get it.
For even me.
Oh, it's one of those pedals that if you're not into it, you're not into it. I totally get it. But if you're one of those people,
I mean, look, I was in your room. I get it.
Oh yeah.
It's like you guys are probably fighting over who gets to use that one.
Yeah, Xander's got it on his board.
Right.
He loves that thing. At least I hope he does.
Yeah.
He bought one at least.
That's cool.
Nice.
That's cool. And I mean, do you use that for bass too?
I personally do not have it on my bass board, but I was actually just at the Pedals and Pints a few days ago.
Yeah.
There was one guy who came around and played on it on bass for a while, and he was just like, I have to get this.
That's
awesome. Like, I can't do it today, but I have to get this.
See, and that's, this conversation right there is why there are so many pedals out there. Everybody's like, man, there's too many pedals out there. What do you mean there's too many? That's crazy. No, because there's somebody's going to love whatever you're putting out.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna love it.
I think what people want is they want a best. They want to say, I want a distortion. What's the best distortion? And that's the wrong question.
I
It's
agree.
a horrible question.
I want the distortion that's gonna make me feel like I have my own thing going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want the distortion that speaks to you. You want something, I think there was one I was listening to recently where someone was talking about, playing with their eyes. I think that's awesome. I'm somebody who does play with my eyes. I like it when guitars look cool because when a guitar looks cool, I'll play it. If a pedal looks cool, I'll play it.
Right.
If it doesn't look cool, even if it sounds great, I'm not as excited about it.
Yeah.
That's part of the experience. It's
Yeah.
part of the thing. And if you love it, you think it looks awesome, you think, wow, this fits me, my personality, whatever,
Yeah.
Then, hey, maybe it doesn't sound as good as the other one, but that's fine. It sounds awesome.
Case in point, I have Hello Sailor Effects, the fuzz they made me, the Union Jack fuzz.
Yeah.
And that's on my board. And every time I walk past, I'm like, damn, that thing looks cool.
Right?
My board looks really cool, guys. I'm just saying. But that's the thing. If you look down, you're like, yeah, let me hit this one. I like it. Now, Jared, wherever he is right now in the world. Like, I don't care what they put a piece of bread on it. Freaking, I don't care. But
Different strokes, man. Different strokes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, cool. I really appreciate you taking us through all this stuff. It's great that we have local builders around. It's even if you're not local, wherever you are in the world, we're really happy that you are doing the thing that you are doing.
Everyone's
Please
local
keep
somewhere.
doing it. And if you're thinking about doing it, for Pete's sakes, just start making some stuff. Please. I'm begging you. All right, Tony,
Yes?
well, get us out of here.
Well, Todd, at this point of the show is a little game that we like to play called a Would Ya Rather.
All right.
Like that little...
It's okay. Yeah.
It's almost like a tremolo pedal.
Kind of.
Sort of, but not really. Yeah. Well, this week's Would You Rather. I happen to notice that...
Oh, hey, speaking of that, wait, tremolo. Did someone say tremolo? Hello?
That was
Our
delay.
next, I know, I kind of messed that up, but they'll forgive me. Right, guys? Our next 4 on the Floor episode is on tremolo.
Ooh.
Very excited. So we have our tremolo board circling around the knobs houses right now. So that'll be coming up
Is the name
soon.
of the show Life's the Same? I'm shaking like tremolo.
No.
No,
It's
it's
not.
not. Okay, sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, before I was so rudely interrupted, I happen to see that Martin has released a Johnny Marr 7-string acoustic guitar. Now, you might be asking,
I might be asking, why are we going to talk about acoustic guitars? That's what I'm going to be asking
well,
right now.
this you'll see how it works out.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
And the thing with this particular 7-string, it's not like it's a 7-string jazz guitar thing. It's a double on the G, so it's an octave G.
Oh.
So this first thing started
That's
coming
a little
out.
extra sparkle, a little Johnny Marr
A
sparkle.
little Johnny
Thank
Marr
you, Johnny
sparkle.
Marr, up there on my poster.
You're welcome, Todd. So this came about like Martin also released a Roger McGuinn 7-string, which had the doubled or the octave G, and that's because McGuinn typically used the G string for most of his runs, rather than doing a full 12-string.
Got it.
Got it.
I just wanted to say G strings are really ineffective against runs. I'm just saying. Okay, anyways. I could not.
The room is in shambles.
Okay. I couldn't let that go. All right, back to that may or may not make it in there. Here we go.
Well, I know of your disdain of acoustic guitars, Todd.
It's not that I have disdain for them. It's just that's not my bag.
Well, hopefully,
I have them. I like them, but that's about as far as it goes.
maybe someday when you're as old as I am,
You better get
you'll
on with this because
you'll appreciate it.
yes,
So we're going to open this up to bass players. The Would You Rather.
because we're jumping from acoustics to bass playing.
Will you please listen
scared.
to the premise?
Trying.
I'm so scared.
Please listen to the premise.
trying.
So you're a bass player, and you're having a
I play
custom.
bass too.
There you go. Do you
I
play?
like to play bass. I'm not a bass player, but go ahead.
So, as a bass player, you have an option to get a 5-string bass. However, it's not your typical 5-string bass. Would you rather have the G
Okay,
Octaved?
now I get where you're going. All right.
or the E octaved, and why? 5-string bass, not your typical 5-string bass. Would you rather have the octave G or the octave E?
Okay. Now, for all the people out there that are going like, which are the bass strings?
The top string's the E, the second string's the A, the third string's the D, and the fourth string's the G.
Okay.
Here's your primer.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you can either have an octave E, so you have a regular E string with an octave E,
Yeah.
or a regular G string with an octave G.
Right. So, too low or too high.
Correct.
Thank you. See, you're welcome, everybody. I'm here to simplify whatever Tony's trying to say. Go ahead.
That's because like I'm too low and too high, man.
Yes.
Anyhow, for me, I'm not typically a bass player. However, I have dabbled in the world of.
It's fun to dabble in bass.
yes.
Bass is great.
I think, and maybe it's just me because I'm not a great bass player, but I think I would rather have the double or the octave E string, the first string, because I think I tend to play that string more. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm doing the. We have an actual bass player in the house, so we'll get his opinion next.
Got it.
Sure.
Donovan.
You know what? I am something of an unconventional bass player. I like to play chords on bass.
Ah.
You know, and I like to kind of thicken that up a little bit. And I think having the doubled high G would be really cool to do some like open chords with or something like that. You know, I'm trying to think. On the 7th fret on the G string and then play the D, you know, you'd get that great, that would sound really cool, I think. And it would almost be, I guess that would just be like a power chord then. But I think having that doubled octave would sound really cool with that.
All right.
Yeah.
I, too, am going to go with that because I'm thinking like it would be super fun to play Peter Hooky kind of stuff and then like, you know, sit on the top and then ring down and hit kind of not unlike how I do a lot of my own guitar stuff where I try to get these like the accents on the higher strings without necessarily fiddling about with them. You know, you're just hitting them to be like, hey, you're there. I see you're going to do something special for me. But to have those things in that beautiful little harmony would be really cool.
Well, it's not really a harmony.
It's in my head. It's a harmony. I know. Okay. I said that wrong. It's okay.
But that's okay.
I'm not perfect.
All right. So I guess once again, Tony Island playing the octave E.
Thanks
for noticing.
Well, that was an interesting question when we finally got to
see
it.
how
So
that
I appreciate
related to the Johnny Marr acoustic
3 lefts to take a right.
7 string. You get it.
Yeah.
You
3
understand?
left Tony. There you go.
Yeah.
3 left Tony, he's all right. I like that. Make that a shirt.
There we
Okay. We need to thank a few people.
Yes, Todd.
And then we're going to kick Donovan right out of our doors.
Get out of here.
Right on the curb.
So, at this point, there's a special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer helps make this show possible. How do you become one? Very easily. Head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate, become a friend, a sponsor, a hero of said podcast, the Guitar Knobs. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts and opportunities to win special giveaways. Oh, yes, the big giveaways are coming. But in addition to all that great stuff, there's one thing more.
You can have a name and a thing.
Oh, I like that one. I could actually kind of make
Gross, but anyways. Go ahead.
out. Well, that's your specialty.
Yeah.
So, yes, you get to have your name read on the thing. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers. John Sebastian, Trevor Ellenberg, Cameron Pampas, James Bell, Brett Hogarth, Don Kloss, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology. What? Rusty Sneeden, Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Richard Kendall, James White, Justin Jones, John Esterly from Rare Bzervix, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Darren Gregory, Tom Berezin, Eric Merrow, and Plutone.
Oh. Lovely. Thank you. That's a fantastic list. We're very, very thrilled about.
But wait, Todd, there's more.
I knew
Because
there would
there's a special group of executive producers. We call them our Grand Poobahs. These are the creme de la creme, the top of the heap, the A number ones. And they have a fez to wear upon their head whilst listening to this podcast, you see. So special thanks to these Grand Poobahs. Anthony Gemolero, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Bob Crouch, Brian Robinson, Cody Foster, David Kaminga, David Tyndall, Enrico Fernando, Fox Hill Studio, Hex Matos, James Pennington, John Williams, LSJ Music Company, Matt Hart, Michael Van Zant, Michio Murakishi, Moon Guitars, Paul Von Eppinger, Sam Jett, Steve Keys, Tyler Casey Rhines, Zach Oswald from Brandon Wound Pickups, Pedro Vasquez, and Gregory Randall. Ooh. Thank you, and thank you.
Yes, truly, truly, truly thank you. We truly appreciate it. I'm very excited for all the things that we're working on for our patrons. We are going to be doing zippy hoodies.
Zippy hoodies.
Zippy hoodies.
Is that did you get the 2-zipper ones?
Yeah.
The biker zipper hoodies?
No, not doing that. The Euro zip, I guess that would be. I would really love to get some hats done, so I'm going to be checking that out too.
How about some toques?
On top of all the giveaways and there's just so many good things.
How about socks?
No, because Footloose Effects does those.
Oh.
Anyways, thank you. If you're thinking about it, thank you ahead of time. Just join the club. Okay.
It's the right thing to do.
It is. All right, Donovan, where can people find the things that you are doing and get some of these cool pedals?
Absolutely. So you can go to cryptidaudioinvestigations.com. That'll just bring you straight to my reverb page. I also have an eBay page. I've got an Instagram. I've got a Facebook. And I probably am in the woods somewhere, and you can find me out there. Yeah, that's all I've got.
Okay, perfect. Tony?
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the things that I do. What do? I make custom pick guards for guitars. How do you get one? Shoot me an email. Let me know what you're trying to do, what you need, colors, pickups. I have some good advice for you, probably. I've been doing this stuff for 100 years. It's your opportunity to make your guitar even more yours.
Circle R. Okay, you can shoot me a direct message on Instagram at Guitar Knobs. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us what you think of the show. Tell us what you're interested in. Tell us whatever, where you live, whatever. We get all kinds of great stuff. So it's like, it doesn't have to be like, hey, guitar pedals are cool, whatever. Also, we have the Boost. We've got the Tony Baloney pedal.
Yep.
There's so many things going on. So just connect with us, okay? And I think that's probably it. I probably used all my words.
Yes.
Almost. Have a fantastic Guitar Week, everybody. And subscribe! Wow, that's going to be rough.
Distortion Plus would definitely be in the DNA of that guy. Okay. Absolutely.
But it's got a real big mid in it. Mm-hmm. And the Distortion Plus doesn't.
I've got a real big mid, too.
Yes, that's true. Yes. Tony said he hates your show.
It sucks.
I'm sorry, I couldn't keep it in any longer.
Thank you.
Oh, you bozo. Now I gotta take that out.
I don't think so. I didn't quite catch it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, you can't. Squirrel, that never works in any scenario.
If you're into that sort of thing.
I'm half Italian. Ooh. Wow.
Show sucked, but boy, I had some good
got
drinks.
one in.
But damn it, now I've got to edit that out.
That's usually what I have to say. Tony Baloney Pedal. Boloney.
Boloney.
Yeah, there's only 20.
TonyBaloney.com. Pedal.
No, at Tony Baloney Pedal on Instagram.
My baloney has a first name.
I tried that last week.
Tony.
Tony Baloney Pedal.
At Tony Baloney Pedal.
I swear to God,
you have to say at.
if my arms are longer, you'd be a dead man right now. Yeah, but the proper way to use a treble booster is to have it on all the time.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
I went there first, and I sort of regret it already.
Are we ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.